What is up, everyone? My name is Jesse. This is the Auditorium. If you're new, I like to react to video game music as a musician myself from games I've never heard about or played. Today, I'm going to be doing a Patreon Platinum support request for Rogue Monk. This is a new game on the series, The Witcher 3. I have heard a lot about this game throughout the years. I don't know anything about it. This is my first time seeing an image from it, and it looks to be kind of vampiric. So we'll see. Kind of a short one, but this is The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine on the Champs Désolés. I'm guessing Blood and Wine is maybe an expansion or something like that. But I mean, I've been waiting to hear The Witcher because I've had a lot of requests for The Witcher, and you know, it's just a title you always hear about, even if you don't even play games. It's just one of those like big titles. So I'm excited. Let's just go now. On the Champs Désolés. Damn. That was way too quick. I thought that was just building up. It sounded like it was about to go into something really intense. Like, is that a part one to something? Because I was like on the edge of my seat right there. Okay, well, I actually got a lot of information from that 2 minutes. Okay, so I was looking at myself, you know, as I'm hearing it, and I don't want you guys to think that I wasn't enjoying it or anything because I looked kind of serious. I was just getting the feeling that it's probably meant to give out, which is just kind of like, I was kind of uncomfortable and kind of creeped out. Looking at this image pretty much confirms that this has to do with vampires or something close, monsters. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, what does a vampiric music sound like? You know, and I was kind of thinking that in my head. If I was just stuck on an island full of vampires, what would it sound like? And I think it would sound like that, right? Kind of this weird, jarring mixture of Renaissance and power chords from electric guitars. It felt really grotesque. You know, and I did see like blood, and I don't know. Actually, I didn't see just blood. I saw specifically catacombs, kind of just like a really dark tunnel area with possibly skeletons everywhere. But not so much as skeletons, but more just like a dark entity and blood. I don't know why. I guess I just never thought of. I haven't watched a lot of like vampire media, movies. You know, I don't really know much about that whole lifestyle. I've seen Blade, and that creeped me out a little bit. I have to watch the rest of those, by the way. I've only seen the first one. Anywho, yeah, it felt. I mean, the song was good, right? It's a great song, but I think it did have this kind of underlying tone of, yeah, we're not here to make you feel comfortable. This is just to make you kind of on edge, which is what probably by the looks of it, it has kind of this. God, I don't know. It's so menacing looking. Like it knows like the game is badass. You know, like the character looks kind of like he's smug. You know, he's not even tripping that there's a, or that could be his pet. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a very arrogant type of feel. Maybe final boss over here type thing. Yeah, very, very menacing. And the fact that it sounded kind of Renaissance with like modern sounds was a little. I guess the whole thing was just very jarring and just kind of in your face. And I kind of just wanted it to keep going because that's really short. So there's no loop here, or maybe there is. But to me, it sounded like it was building up to something, like the next stage or the next phase, possibly a boss. I don't know though. I didn't get boss feels from this, but it's not totally impossible now that I think about it. But what cemented the fact to me that it was like vampiric, whatever that means, because now I have to look into that. That's like a realm I've never really like looked into, like what kind of music is associated with vampires and monsters. But what really sealed the deal for me was when the organ came in, the pipe organ. I'm like, okay, yeah. Now it really sounds like we're in blood territory and fangs and crosses and whatever. Sorry if I don't sound educated on vampiric lifestyle. I just all I know is as much as the casual audience is they suck blood and they have fangs and they don't like light. But, I mean, it did what it had to do, I guess. Which would be funny because if this is not what that's intended for, then I could just have this completely wrong and maybe it's like a lighthearted, happy moment in the game, which is totally possible because it was like, you know, it had major chords in it, so it was a little uplifting in a way. Sometimes you have to kind of picture the same chords and keys and melodies used on other instruments. Sometimes an instrument will make something sound a lot more intense, even if it's the same note played like, you know, on a piano. Like it might sound softer and calmer on a piano, but on violins or something, it might sound more spooky, I guess. It doesn't really help that I have no idea what the title means. On the Champs Désolés. A lot of questions here. But for my first experience of The Witcher, which by the way, this is The Witcher 3. I don't know if I mentioned that. So there's at least a trilogy. It's doing well. It's sold enough to make 3 of them. Who makes this? Who makes this game? You know what? I'm going to do something that I never really do, and that's actually just look up a little bit more info. If you haven't noticed, I typically just kind of go in blind. I don't know anything about the game, studio, whatever. But in this case, I'm just kind of a little curious, maybe when this came out and who composed it. So 1 second, please. Alright, so according to Google, The Witcher is a series of fantasy action role-playing games developed by CD Projekt Red. That sounds really familiar. What have they made before? I feel like I've heard that name before. And published by CD Projekt. It is based on the book series of the same name by Polish writer Andrzej Sapkowski. Sorry, probably just distorted that. Oh, so it's Polish. Okay. What about the composer? So this is why I don't do this, because I can get lost in it. Composer has Marcin, I'm not even going to pronounce that. Marcin P. and Mikulaj Stronski. This is a very Polish game. See, and now I'm getting more curious because this is how much I don't know about vampires. So please correct me, vampire enthusiasts. Please throw all the lore at me. But are vampires associated with Poland? Do they come, like, is that where the whole thing comes from? I promise you I don't know. Or does that just happen to be, like, you know, a coincidence that this... I'm so curious now. And now I'm even more curious what Polish music sounds like. Because I can't tell at the top of my head. But I wonder if this is like a combination of all those things. I have so many questions. Not only about vampires, but about The Witcher 3, the name of this song. There's a lot of confusion here. But I'm intrigued quite a bit. Being a curious person with a channel like mine is kind of torturous. Every single day I check out songs from stuff I don't know. And you know, my gut instinct is to look up more, get some more info, you know, get knowledge, educate myself. But I'm noticing that it's just way more fun to check these songs out with like no context whatsoever, because I can just focus on the music. But what that did, or usually does, is just kind of open up my third eye, and I just want to dive deeper. And the fact that it was only 2 minutes is kind of a bummer, but yeah, I'm gonna leave this one up to you. You guys tell me what's going on here. Whether vampires, Witcher, which Witcher is the best, blah, 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 anything, just let me know. I'm sure you guys will tell me. But I got nothing much else to say besides that it was a very jarring and spooky and bloody sounding song. And this guy has nice hair, by the way. So that's pretty much it. So if you want to get your request in, you could do so on Patreon or PayPal. I believe I only have one more Witcher request after this, I think. So it's not too popular as far as requests go, but maybe I just haven't found that community yet. That typically happens sometimes. So you can do so on Patreon or PayPal. Neither are necessary, but to guarantee that I will check out your song if you do not mind waiting. Although addressing the wait, there is a big wait, but you can skip the line with the platinum tier on Patreon, which is what Rogue Monk here did. And a big shout out to the rest of my platinum supporters: Fly, Moon Knight, DJ Singletone, Turn Arclight, and Vincent, and to everyone else you see over here. And to you for watching and checking these videos out. You guys got me to 30K. Thank you so much. Can't believe people watch these. But my name is Jesse. This is the Auditorium. Until next time, dudes and dudettes, hopefully more Witcher soon. And I will see you all later.